Hi, this is Aiyana speaking. Welcome back. So today I'm going to be coloring this part of this design again. Last time I talked about Courage the Cowardly Dog, and I mentioned that I might bring up other kind of, well, I don't want to say old-fashioned, but older cartoons you might have seen because you're a 90s kid or an early 2000s kid as opposed to later cartoons. So I remember when these specific cartoons still showed up on Cartoon Network. I don't believe they do. But I distinctly remember growing up with Teen Titans. Pokemon has been around slightly longer than I've been born, I think. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, that was fantastic. Scooby-Doo, which people either love Scooby-Doo or don't know what it is. There's no in between. And Ed, and Eddie. Those were just so integral to my childhood. Let's pick something to color. I'm gonna go here. Those were so integral to my childhood, to be honest. I remember that for Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, so basically, and I actually never saw the end of the show. I don't know if it got canceled or if I just stopped watching or what. I'm gonna have to Google the fate of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. But basically, Madame Foster was this little old lady, and she had I guess, what would you call it, an orphanage, a boarding house? Does it itself count as a foster home? I'm pretty sure it counts more as an orphanage, or whatever they now call them. Anyway, she operated one of those for imaginary friends, because apparently in their world, children have slight reality warping powers, and what they imagine can come to life, literally. So instead of just being invisible and not bothering anyone, suddenly the imaginary friends of children, and even teenagers, suddenly they're just physically real, they're corporeal, they're fully formed, they're tangible. Other people can see them, feel them, hear them. They have their own thoughts and feelings, they can be spoken to, things like that. But apparently they can also, I assume when someone, quote, grows out of their imaginary friend, is the thought behind it, or just no longer wants them for whatever reason, or maybe their, parents no longer wanted it around, whatever the case may be, and they're no longer living with their original family, so they get taken to this, home for imaginary friends. It seems kind of cruel to me, especially when you know that unlike in our world, they're all pretty much guaranteed to be real. Because in our world, the only ones guaranteed to be real are ones that are actually spirits or something, that the kid didn't make up, that they're just kind of bopping around, they're there. But in that world, yeah, apparently, like I said, everyone must have mild reality warping powers. And they can just create things on the fly, and also apparently ditch them and just abandon them somewhere, which is kind of sad. But yeah, Madame Foster had this home for them, and some of the ones that were main characters that I remember, there was Coco. She was this blue kind of chicken with spots, and was her hair green, something like that. And there was Eduardo. He was kind of tall, kind of broad, purple, huge not front teeth, but huge fangs, I would say. And he had these I think gray pants and then a dark belt. And am I leaving anything out? Oh, he had the thick eyebrows. They were thick. And he was really apparently really intimidating for people to see, but he was really kind and gentle. He was a literal gentle giant, just the sweetest thing, but also kind of timid. If I remember correctly, Coco was was like a little crazy. And that's crazy with like quotes, because people kind of throw it around like it has no meaning, but historically it's been used to be really harmful. But we're not gonna get into that because we could do a whole like thesis on it. But anyway, then there was Will. He was meant to be like a basketball playing imaginary friend of some kind. He was really tall. He had one really long arm. I don't know why he only had one really long arm and not two. The other one was stubby, but as an adult, now that I think about it, it kind of looked like a stump. So I don't know if the kid just imagined him with a stump for an arm or if he lost it somehow. I really don't remember his history. But he was a basketball player. He would literally play basketball a lot, but he also had like the little sports band that you see people wear when they're playing, and he had like basketball shoes. Also, his feet were enormous. I don't really know why. I guess because he's a tall basketball player and the kid thought you need enormous feet. Whatever. Not my design. Doesn't matter. It's like, not my imaginary friend, not my character, etc. It really would not matter. Like, let me take my bracelet off. It really would not, like, matter to me in that sense. And then there was Blue, who was, literally a blob. If I recall correctly, Mac was his human, and Mac didn't actually want to give him up, I don't think. I don't actually know why he had to. But I remember that he didn't want to. And I remember that, like, he kept visiting him all the time. He just kept visiting him. Mac visiting Blue, I mean. I remember one episode, I don't even remember the context, which makes it even wilder. They ended up doing some kind of, like, it's like Disney on Ice, but instead of Disney, it's a bunch of random people who were dressed as fruit. So it was an ice skating show, but for some reason everyone was fruit. Yeah. Not my decision. Not my problem. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. That was a lot. That was a lot. Let's go with that. That was a lot. Yep. That was a lot. Anyway, I really have no rhyme or reason for choosing these colors, and I may actually regret the combination. But the point is to have fun, even if it looks ugly. I may, in fact, come to regret this, but that's fine. Let's make this blue because we can. Oh, this is gonna be a little bit ugly, but it's fine. It's fine for something to be ugly, it's fine. Honestly, no one's gonna, well, obviously all of you are seeing it because I put this online. But besides that, no one's gonna see it. I just realized, like, the irony of me not showing literally anyone in my life, but then, like, so many people online are gonna see it. Now, so many people online may not fixate on it, because presumably you are here for the Whisper ASMR Ramble thing, but it's just kind of funny. I mean, if no one pays attention, maybe no one will see it despite it being up. Then whether it gets 7 people or 1 million people, it's just like, well, no one saw it because they weren't paying attention. LOL. Like, I can totally imagine that. But anyway, whether or not you're actually paying attention to how hideous this is probably going to be. What were we talking about? Right, Fosters. So there's this, like, fan theory that Frankie, Mrs. Foster's granddaughter, isn't actually her granddaughter, and, like, for all I know, later in the show it, like, came true or whatever, but I have no idea because I never finished it. There's this theory that she's actually Mrs. Foster's imaginary friend instead of her, like, biological granddaughter. I'm surprised there weren't more fan theories in the reverse. I mean, what if a grieving Frankie made an imaginary friend that was like a doppelganger of her grandmother after her grandmother, like, passed away? Can you imagine? Like, to be fair, technically either one of them could be an imaginary friend, and I don't think we would ever find out. Like, not unless they made it explicit. I honestly don't even know how that theory came about. Like, I could not tell you. I wasn't even on, like, Reddit or internet forums, so I don't actually know how I saw it. Oh, right, Tumblr. Ooh, right. That's how. But yeah, like, I don't actually know what made them think that Frankie was not human, but an imaginary friend that looked like a human. Like, I don't know really why they thought that. But anyway, I just wonder if anyone thought of the theory in reverse. Like, what if it's the young one that's human and the old one is the, imaginary friend? Except, they're not really that imaginary if they're, there. They may have started off as imaginary, but now they're living and breathing. They, like, think and have feelings, and, yeah, you're basically creating people, so yeah. I don't know how they have order in their society, given that apparently everyone technically has a superpower. And I don't mean in the same manner as MHA or PNHA, whatever you may be, whichever one you tend to use. The one with quirks that we talked about extensively. My Hero, which is the, like, English version of the title. That one. It's kind of like that, except, like, for all intents and purposes, because I'm only going off of, like, what we as the viewers know, there's, like, no policing at all for it, which is kind of nice. Also, everyone apparently has the same power, and I really don't know, like, how those humans get along with, like, such intense psychic powers. Like, that's what it's gotta be, unless their deities just have, like, a twisted sense of humor compared to the ones for our Earth. Or maybe it's just that their psychic powers tend to, like, sort of calm down as they get older, and that's why they stop creating new friends. Maybe. Because there were occasionally friends from teenagers who apparently liked making Pokemon, which is kind of funny. Because that one imaginary friend was definitely based off of a Jolteon, and you cannot tell me otherwise. You cannot change my mind. So, I mean, it definitely was. It even looked vaguely like it's not just because it shocked things, because there are a lot of electric type Pokemon, It actually vaguely looked like a Jolteon, at the least. Although I think it was more than vaguely. I'm saying vaguely so that even people who are skeptical can go, yeah, if you turn your head or squint, it does actually look like one. Although I think it had a stronger resemblance than that. I mean, they weren't twins, but it was clear that they took inspiration from there, if nothing else. I'm gonna move my light. Because, as I'm bending down trying to color, it keeps trying to attract itself to my head, and I really don't want my hair pulled by a light, but, you don't know how long it took me to get this hairstyle in place. I do not want it pulled apart because a lamp got all touchy-feely in all the wrong ways. Anyway. Yeah, so, and apparently the ones by teenagers could be more dangerous, more, like, aggressive, which sounds like total malarkey to me, because kids, not only are young kids, like, innocent in the sense of, like, just not knowing better, but because they don't know better, they're oblivious and naive to harm, so they wouldn't necessarily know that something is, like, scary or bad, which means they could create an imaginary friend that, like, I don't know, ripped her soul out, or something, and, like, not really realize, which is kind of terrifying, because the friend might have, like, less intelligence or like an even poor moral compass developed because it just like doesn't know better, just like the creator, because the creator didn't think to instill that kind of thing in them. I wonder how much the creators try to instill compasses like that in their friends anyway. Like when they're making a specification for their friend, do they think like, I want this one to be really moral, or do they just go like, I want it to have blue skin? I don't really know the creation process in their world and how much influence the creator has. Like as far as the internal, obviously they're influencing the external, or else Ivan wouldn't have had like a bajillion eyes. But yeah, like can you imagine something with like the destructive power of a Pokemon or a superhero or a god, and it's created by a toddler who just like is trying to mimic what they see. Sorry about the truck passing by. Anyway, a truck passed by. They're just trying to mimic what they see, but they don't have like higher reasoning because they're itty bitty. That would be terrifying. Like imagine one of those little kids trying to recreate Iron Man as an imaginary friend, but they kind of mess up a little. He doesn't have higher reasoning, he doesn't have morals, he doesn't have logic. He's basically the same mental age as them. Like, imagine. That would be terrifying. I'm gonna have to look into whether or not their adults can make imaginary friends. Maybe it's just like frowned upon. Kind of like how like IRL in our world, people don't like for you to have imaginary friends when you're older. Which, you know, is kind of dumb because I don't see why not. Like obviously as a kid you don't necessarily know that your not real friend is not real. But as an adult, unless you have medical conditions that would make it hard to discern reality, I don't know why you couldn't go, this isn't real, but I'm going to treat it as such. Especially when adult humans are known to bond with inanimate things like literally all the time. Like why can't someone pretend to have an imaginary friend if someone can like bond to their Roomba? You know, like it's weird. If people are allowed to keep their safety blanket or bond to their Roomba, why can't they have imaginary friends? Like, it doesn't matter if it's not real. Like, let them have it. Especially if they know it's not real and you're not encouraging any symptoms of certain things. Like, if they're aware it's not real, but they use that for comfort, then, like, why would you take that from them? You know, not everyone has access to therapy. Not everyone has money to go to a counselor. Not everyone can get an emotional support animal or a service dog or, you know. And even if it's just something like emotional support because they're isolated and don't have many friends, like why would you begrudge them that? Just let them have it. They obviously know it's not real. And even if they were experiencing symptoms of certain conditions, like taking the safety net away before you fix any actual underlying issues is not gonna help. Not that I'm a psychologist or anything. Like, I can't give out actual medical advice, but it just seems counterintuitive. Like, it just seems to me if someone's having some kind of issues of, like, severe abandonment or something, the first thing you're gonna do should not be to take away the only constant in their life, which is their imaginary friend. I feel like you should stabilize them mentally and emotionally before you take that away, you know? So that they don't completely freak out and spiral. But maybe that's just me. Again, I'm not actually a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I could always ask my partner, though, because my partner does have a degree in whatever the, like, darn, what is it called? Whatever the community college level is. He's a counselor of some kind. I mean, he doesn't have a PhD in psychiatry or something, but he actually has studied in the field and does have a degree, even if he, like, didn't go into that field. So, like, I could ask him about it. But yeah, like, it just seems weird to take away someone's coping mechanism before you actually fix the entire reason they needed a coping mechanism. Because then they're just still gonna have their issues without a coping mechanism, and that seems works. So you should not take that as advice at all, ever. And especially not as medical advice. I'm just trying to figure out how something works because it doesn't make sense to me. And if it doesn't make sense to you either, then I really don't know why any of us would take what the other said as advice, because none of us know what we're talking about, really. We're just trying to figure out how something works. But yeah, anyway, the imaginary friends were interesting. I actually don't know why Blue didn't really have a body. Because he was a blob. I don't know, the imaginary friends came with all kinds of bodies. I mean, look at Will. He was tall and thin and had one arm and huge feet. Coco was literally a bird with a huge beak mouth. A blue bird with spots. Again, I really do think she was supposed to be some kind of chicken. Then there's Eduardo, who's... I don't really know. He's got, like, some, like, obvious, like, Diablo imagery going on. But he's, like, not malicious or evil or anything like that. He's just, like, kind of chilling. He's really sweet. He's, you know, just nice. Friendly. I can see how he would be physically intimidating to someone, but he's, like, not actually mean. I don't even remember if Coco actually talks. I feel like she just, like, clucked and babbled. But Eduardo talked. Actually, wasn't he bilingual? And then Will spoke English. Was Eduardo bilingual, or did he just speak Spanish? I swear he was bilingual, but I could be wrong. It could be like the whole Berenstein Bear thing. I wonder if that fandom is, like, defunct and deceased, or if there's, like, you know, still a presence. I'm gonna have to check that out. Mostly because the concept of, like, people having passive creative powers is kind of cool, even if it's also terrifying. We're pretty much at the end of the video, but I really want to get that, like, little sliver of flower if I can. Yeah, I didn't notice it the first time. My bad. Or else I would have got it when I did the blue. Anyway. It's not terrible. But it's not the best. It's okay sometimes if you make something and it comes out uglier than you intended. That's okay. Just like it's okay to make mistakes. You can always try again or do better next time or try to fix it. And, you know, if you can't fix it, you did the best you could with the information you had at the time, which is what I've heard in, like, another YouTuber's videos. But I'm gonna, like, go further than that and say that now that you are in possession of better information, better knowledge of that past experience, you can do better next time and try again. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay sometimes if you make questionable life choices, as long as you learn from them. It is okay sometimes if things turn out ugly when you didn't mean for them to. You can always learn and do better. No one is a lost cause. Thank you so much for watching. If you don't want to miss any more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. If you enjoyed this little chat, leave a thumbs up on the video below. And if you have any suggestions for what you'd like a topic to be to show